Next team up will be Lateral. After Fouet will share some insights.
All right. So Lateral, maybe a couple of words. Lateral is a team of programmers, mathematicians, and scientists, which, believe me, makes for some interesting dinner talk. And their conversations sort of tend to drift off into how everything in life is related, and comes back onto how everything affects evolution, so really quirky. But I guess that's just sort of like the brain that you need if you make machine learning, something as complex as that, your profession. Also, I've gotten to know them, and they're really, really hugely likable bunch of guys. So please welcome on stage the team of Lateral.
Hi. Can you hear me? Hi, my name's Martin.
And my name's Felix.
And we're here to talk to you about Lateral. Lateral helps you think outside the box. I'm sure many of you here have experienced working on something and being so focused in that work that you only realize that the solution was in front of you all along once you're at the end of that process. This is something that happens to a lot of us, and it's been happening for a long time. For example, Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton was working on gravitation and really understanding gravitation, and this involves a lot of theoretical thinking. But it wasn't until he was sitting in a garden and saw an apple fall from a tree that all of this understanding was put into perspective, and it gave him the inspiration to come up with the theory of gravitation. That was Sir Isaac's aha moment. And that is what Lateral is all about. We want to encourage outside-the-box thinking in order to increase the frequency of these aha moments. Why do we want to do this? Because we feel there's tremendous value in a world where people can come up with innovative solutions to their problems more efficiently. Moreover, with the connectivity that the web allows today, we're extremely excited about the opportunity to connect people working on today's toughest challenges using our technology. So how do we plan to do this? Well, first off, we go out and we try to find high-quality databases. We've started with Wikipedia, which is a great source of general knowledge, but these are some partners that we'd like to work with in the future as well, but you can imagine any great content we'd like to work with. We then take those databases and we index them using our proprietary machine learning technology. What this allows is for a user to come to us with a document, submit that to us, and then we return to them conceptually related documents from all of these databases. What that provides the user with is a wide range of perspectives, which they can then maybe find something that they didn't expect, and moreover, one of those might lead to one of their aha moments. But so, that's the plan. You might want to see how it's working today. So, we've been spending the last 8 weeks preparing our private alpha, and so this is a pre-alpha demo. So to give you a quick introduction, this is trained on Wikipedia. So, we've come up with 2 use cases that can illustrate what we have in mind. The first is that of an investor. So let's say you're an investor and you're looking at the Chinese market, but you've heard about the slowing economic growth that's taking place there. You might come across something like this, which is a JP Morgan investment insight paper about that slowing growth. So, using our tool, you could take the summary and select it, and what this will allow you to do is then take that copied text and bring it over to Lateral. When you then paste that into Lateral, we come up with related content at the moment from Wikipedia, which is conceptually close to what you're looking at. So, for example, there's the 1997 Asian financial crisis, clearly linked to the slowing economy in Asia. But there's also things like the economy of Pakistan and the economy of Mexico, both of which are countries that had to deal with crisis in different ways. And maybe there's something there that the investor can really get an additional perspective on what's going on. But what about another example? We also think that our tool will be incredibly useful for lawyers, because especially in precedent-based legal systems, being able to compare what you're working on to what's already been happening is very valuable. So for example here, we had a summary of a Supreme Court act on same-sex marriages. You can then plug that into Lateral, and it identifies that it's a court case, and from Wikipedia has extracted different court cases which discuss rights. But these are not just sexual orientation, it also has to do about gender, ethnicity. It really gives you a lot of different perspectives on what you're working on. And we feel this could be tremendously valuable for people in the law profession as well, and law students. So that's what we've been building so far. Now Felix is going to tell you about how we plan to integrate it into today's world.
Thank you. So, before I do so, I'd like to take a time out. And that is because we've discussed our solution with several people, and every time there's an elephant in the room. And that elephant is Google. And whereas if you would have used our solution, you would know the difference, we want to make something very clear in these 5 minutes. And that is that we are not Google. Google does keywords. We do lots of texts. Also, Google is all about providing you with the answer. And it's great at doing that. But we want to broaden your perspective, and that's why we give you conceptually related suggestions. End of timeout. We've identified several markets where we feel our solution can work great. And let's look at a general workflow example of someone operating in one of those markets. You'd begin with a project. And in order to find relevant information, you would summarize that project. But then, to continue, you would break that down into sentences and into keywords, adapting to today's traditional search technology. And what happens is that this turns into a long-step process. And although you do come to information at the end, we feel that this is not only time-consuming, but there's also this narrowing factor which might lead to you missing out on relevant information. And this is down to 3 things. Keyword dependency. It can be challenging to find databases beyond the ones you already know. And finally, the variety of different interfaces can be confusing. So what does Lateral do? Lateral answers those questions. And it does so because it allows you to paste in your summary, and then we come back with relevant recommendations from different databases. This saves time, it makes you aware of previously unknown databases, and finally, it can give you those unexpected perspectives that can lead to aha moments. And what's even greater is that afterwards, you can go back and narrow down using traditional search, but Lateral complements that as well. So you're probably wondering, how does that translate into a business model? Well, we really feel there's a 2-strand strategy here. The first is B2C, and it's all about the user and his ability to find relevant information. That's our central hub, and it comes with a freemium model. Then there's the B2B, which is all about content providers. We can act as a white label recommendation engine there for existing databases, providing customer experience management, and that comes with a license fee. And also, if the content provider wants to, he can become an affiliate of our B2C solution, which is great for lead generation. And the great thing about all this is that in the end, it's all about the user's ability to find information that is relevant and in an efficient manner. So, that has outlined our grand vision, but as we've mentioned, we're still at the early stages, and we realize that there are questions remaining that we need to answer. And we will do that in the coming months by doing segmented user testing and seeing in which markets we gain traction. And then based on that, we will extend our content offering in those markets. We will refine our interfaces to match the needs of those markets while continuously innovating our machine learning algorithm.
And what is it that allows us to do this? Well, we have a team which is multidisciplinary, so we can do the curation in-house. We have design experience, so we know how to create a product for the user. And we built our technology in-house, which means we can adapt to what the market needs and what our users want. Who's behind this? There's Felix and myself. We started a creative agency, so we know what it's like to run a digital business. We have Max, our experienced front and back end developer. And then we have Steve and Benjamin, who are our data scientists. And so what are we looking for? Well, we're entering our private alpha phase. So we'd like to get alpha testers from lots of different backgrounds. But we're also looking for content providers, especially those who might want to partner in a beta phase where we can leverage their content and make it all the better for their users. And finally, while we're not looking for funding today, we'd obviously like to start a conversation with anyone who's interested and who wants to follow our progress so that we might be able to work with them in the future. So thank you for listening. If you want to find out more, send us an email or come talk to us later. You can also sign up for updates on our website, lateral.io. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Please stay here. I hope we were able to remove the elephant from the room, but maybe there's some further questions. So, any questions from the audience? There is one.
Hello. I have some kind of little experience in that field. How's your in-house technology different than OpenKLA that was developed for Reuters, for example?
Sorry?
Do you know OpenKLA for semantical search?
In terms of the comparison,
Yeah.
it'd probably be best to talk to our technical team directly.
Okay.
So if you want to come talk to us later, we'd love
I
to.
will,
Yeah,
definitely.
awesome.
Oh, there's one in the back.
Is your engine also capable to work cross-lingual? Means I enter something in English and I get answers or suggestions in Swedish and whatever language?
So right now, for the alpha version, it's all in English, but for the future, we can definitely work with multiple languages, and that's something that we're definitely going to look to explore.
Any more questions? There's one in the front. Liam?
Are there particular types of content that you think lend themselves to this and certain types of content you think you won't be able to address, at least in the short term?
I think for our first phase, I mean, we've been very interested in looking at the world of research where there's a kind of stricter format in terms of how the text is built. So there's kind of the low-hanging fruit in terms of content, and we've identified a few that we really want to work with. But going forward, we definitely want to just try to work with all types of content because that's what really excites us as well. But yeah, there's definitely a starting point, and that's very much what we're going to proceed with.
One more in the back.
Hi, maybe you can elaborate a little bit on why you think that your search engine, no, I know it's not search engine, your recommender system actually recommends content which helps me with those aha moments. Because from what I've seen, it looks like you're computing like a one-dimensional score or like distance function to the semantic content of the original document. And I'm not sure whether that, like, have you verified that this actually helps with inspiration? Because it just looks very close to what I was providing.
So the way it works is that it associates content in lots of different directions. So obviously those are two examples. But the way we're planning to build it is in a way that you manipulate that space in your development process. So it's really about when you use the product, it's a very creative process that allows you to travel in different directions very quickly. So obviously with limited time, that only shows you one quick image. Okay. But going forward, we really believe in this notion of how being exposed to a wide spectrum and being able to travel down different rabbit holes very effectively is a great way of getting those different sparks. So that's the notion that's behind it. But yeah, it does offer content going in very different directions. It doesn't just do one effectively.
All right, thank you.
And just to add to that, talking about aha moments, we also thought that there's two kind of types of aha moments. One is like the Isaac Newton moment, where you've been working on something for a long time, and one of those new avenues can spark something which really combines everything. And the other case could be if you're a student, for example, and you're looking at a really complex text, if you put that in, it can give you a sort of context to deal with that text. So you're not just there and you're thinking, oh, I don't know how to deal with this, but it can actually give you other things to read, which you can then read, and it could give you a better way of understanding that text. So that's a small aha moment.
There's one further question.
The teams here, huh?
So, first of all, I think it's a very interesting product. But for example, I see myself using a product, finding another article that might be interesting, and then lateraling that as well, and go down this rabbit hole. Have you been thinking about implementing somewhat of a function that would kind of leaves you in the confines of your first article and maybe guides you down a certain path?
Yeah, actually for our private alpha, we've already added that. It's basically a more like this style button where you basically can then start jumping along that path that you want to see. So, yeah, definitely.
Okay, we've time for one last question. Okay, so all questions answered, right? Okay, thank you, Lateral.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We'll now return